Welcome to the Loud Quiet.
Ooh, empty nester. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think that actually probably is the theme of the empty nest. What are we doing? Let's do this. Let's do this thing. I don't know if I'm recording. Yeah, I am. Okay.
Great. Sans children. Just us. We need a tissue box up here. Follow along on our journey and maybe, we can learn from others.
Yeah. I don't have a clue how to be empty nester.
This is the Loud Quiet, living the empty nest.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Loud Quiet. We're from the road back in Arizona, episode 25. We just decided while we're driving back to the airport in Phoenix, we might as well get a podcast in. So.
Yeah. As we, those that listen and view know, some of these are kind of impulsive, and that's what this one is. This was a clip the camera to the car and let's have a little chat because it was a fun weekend. There was a lot to the weekend, and we have an hour and a half. We're not going to make this an hour and a half, but we've got to drive. And beautiful day. So far, so good on the road. So I thought we'd, just recap our weekend for each other, and hopefully y'all enjoyed the stories as well.
So we came out, as we've said, we like to visit the kids probably once a month. Now that they're both out here, we definitely try to come once a month or...
certainly at least every 6 weeks, right? We're definitely in the month and a half at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, this one, they both went back on January 9th, so it hadn't quite been a month, but this was the only weekend that we could cut. And there's just so many... Arizona has so many events going on during this time of year, of course, because it's beautiful. So we have to also... we couldn't come next weekend because Tanner's going to the Waste Management Golf Tournament and
try to get a hotel during that as well. Or flights, or forget about that.
And we actually had a hard time finding a hotel in Tucson for this weekend that we're here because it's the Gym Festival, and that continues on through next week. Which, if you know anything about Arizona or from Tucson, the JEM Festival is apparently a huge deal.
GEM.
Oh, sorry, GEM.
We've been joking so much amongst ourselves that it's the
tired.
Gym Festival. Yeah, it's all a festival for a bunch of gyms. No, it's actually rock stones, jewelers.
That just doesn't roll off your tongue, though. GEM.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Everybody stop down and try to say how you'd say gym, and you'd see why we spelled it JIM.
So there's just so many events going on that we had to balance that with trying to figure out when we could come out here.
And we love coming out here this time of year because now those of y'all that are watching, you can look through the sunroof, you can look through the windows. It is
beautiful,
gorgeous here. We booked it, planning, all right, February trip, get out there. It's gonna be miserable weather in Texas and great weather in Arizona. The week before we came out here was one of those gorgeous Texas weeks. It was sunshine, 60s, 70s, no rain. And then we saw the forecast here was going to be cold and raining. We thought, what the heck? Actually, I even said to Clarence, if we were retired, I'd be changing our trip to come out a few days early so we didn't have the weekend. Well, in classic Arizona style, we landed, and whatever storms had come through happened before we got here. And truly, it has been a gorgeous, chilly, but a gorgeous 60 degrees, sunny, little bit of sun on the back of your neck makes it feel 70s.
And we're, it's interesting because we're leaving Tucson right now, and you just don't ever equate snow in Arizona. Now, there is up north is a big ski place.
Flagstaff, that area, all that.
But there's snow on the mountains that ring Tucson, and there's a ski resort, probably 30, 45 minutes from Tegan.
Yeah.
So it was interesting seeing that, it's kind of Colorado, like in that May where there's still snow up on the very, very tip tops of the mountains.
There was one street that we were driving on that had such a Colorado Village look because it was a narrow street. I can't remember, downtown or something. Narrow street, buildings on the side, and then the background was that huge mountain and then the snow-capped white on top. It really...
Yeah.
It felt Colorado. And these are things we didn't realize about the state until we kept coming here. No, we're not doing the Arizona Traveler Bureau. It seems like, though, each week we're telling folks to travel here. We just love it here.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do. And it's just, like we said, you know, the weather just turned off great and, you know, a little colder than I would like my Arizona trips to be, but it was still good. I mean, we had to, I had to borrow a coat from, you know, Tanner's friend when we get to what we did with him and his friends. And
so that's it. So we came in Friday and got, well, of course, what happens on Friday? We go straight to grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you visit, I don't know when this stops. Yes, we're empty nesters. However, we're still, whenever we arrive, it's grocery store time.
For the kids,
yeah,
not for us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Good clarification.
Yeah.
Tanner's like, I just need a few things at Trader Joe's, and that basket just kept filling
Yeah.
and filling and filling.
But that was my first time to really shop or look at Trader Joe's, and you know, I was really surprised their prices are not any. Some of them were better than the grocery stores, you know, that we shop at home because we don't have a Trader Joe's close enough to us to justify shopping there. But yeah, he has fallen in love with Trader Joe's. It's close to his apartment, and
so we did that.
Things,
got the shopping in. He needed to clean up, do a little bit of homework, so we did the same. Kind of went back to the hotel, and then we met. And you'll hear a very recurring theme. And anytime we talk about getting together with Tanner, so the three of us then went out to a happy hour, and we like to go to, call it a steak place, something like that, sit down and have a martini, something like that. And so found Roaring Fork, which is a place that we know from Austin. And we're like, all right, let's head up to that one. Walk in, and it's completely different than what we recognize. And I mentioned that to the hostess and said, this looks different than our Roaring Fork. And she goes, oh, are y'all from Austin?
Yeah.
And immediately knew that we were talking, and I don't know if it's a chain there, but enjoyed sitting up there. Classic Arizona good service. She was really busy at first, but then just so friendly.
I still need to look and see if it started in Arizona or if it started in Austin, because we're seeing such an influx of Arizona restaurants to the Dallas area, and so I'm curious to know which came first. But hey, talking about, again, friendly people, but when we walked in, the hotel that we stay at is the hotel we always stay at now that Tanner is at his new townhome, because it's very close to it. And I mean, we walked in and she was like, oh, y'all haven't been here in a couple of months. I mean,
how on earth does
I don't
this lady
know.
know?
I told Rick, I said, do we just have a look or something? Because and it's she said that every time she's like, oh, y'all are back. So it's the same. I'm amazed it's the same girl still working there, but super friendly. And we did Roaring Fork, and then there's a new restaurant / club that finally opened. The kids had all been, Tanner's group had all been waiting for it to open all last semester, and then it opened, I think, right before break. It's called Bang Bang, and I mean, it is like Japanese themed anime. Like it's
Japanese, absolutely.
I know it's Japanese, but I was trying to say it looks like someone just vomited Japanese stuff all
like
over
almost like you're living in an anime.
Yes,
it's quite. Not exactly.
Like the table was all Pokemon, but it's nice. Like it's not.
It has a very upscale feel to it. You walk by a really attractive cherry blossom as you're going up the stairs. The lighting's very club, right? It's that purple and hot pink colors throughout, and it's because now the food was absolutely great. It turns into a nightclub after our time.
But the food was good. Yeah, because there was a
There's a
the
DJ
rope,
going, right?
They had the DJ, but the rope when you go in, and the bouncer guy, checking IDs if you needed to. But
he did not check my ID.
I don't think he checked any of ours because we were eating.
We were at dinner,
But so had a great. One of Tanner's roommates joined us there, and
one of the hostesses. Tanner actually knew one of the hostesses, which is always kind of fun, and that happens a lot in a college town where your friends or the people that you know from school are working a lot of the service industry places, and the reason I mention it is because I may mention this again, but yes, we knew he knew the hostess as we were going in to Bang Bang. Great sushi, and some very creative sushi as well.
The rolls,
were good.
Yeah, everything was good. That was fun, and
so this is 7:30 reservation. Realize we flew in that day. Our time zone difference this time, so that's an 8:30 reservation, but we're wrapping up, and so I don't know, let's just keep the night going, and we end up at Casey Moore's, which is another one that y'all have heard us mention a lot, which is that outdoor porch area, and go there. Met some more of Tanner's friends, and
different group.
different group. We're
we fled through different groups, yeah.
The theme, though, is we should be in bed at this point, and we're just enjoying having a pint there. You had the green tea drink that they've got there, and it's such a chill place. We won't talk about it in too much detail because folks have heard us talk about Casey Moore's. It's just
a neat vibe. It's easygoing. It's a great outdoor venue. Yeah, it's just, and some of these places we couldn't go to because they are hardcore 21, and they're not letting you, if your fake is not,
so that's why we're getting to them now,
So,
that was good. We were done with it? Kind of, all right, some folks joined, they had a round. It's maybe
10:30 probably.
10:30, 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
So let's go back, right? Let's go home? No. How did this happen?
Well, okay, because here's what happened. At Bang Bang, the waitress said, if y'all want to come back later because you dined here, you can come back for the DJ show tonight. So she gave us, she was like, just get wristbands down at the stand. So Tanner got 4, and knowing that it wasn't going to be for us. So
I'm just laughing about the fact of wristbands, right?
Yeah.
That alone, I haven't worn a wristband for a club in 30 years.
So I don't ever remember having a wristband. I just remember them marking on your hand. But so we were sitting there at Casey Moore's, and the 2 girls that came and joined us with other people, we started talking, and Tanner was like, oh, well, let's go. Y'all want to go to Bang Bang? And I looked at Rick and I was like, you're not going to go back to Bang Bang.
And I told you I would.
Like,
I'm in.
I know. That's what I was saying. You were like, I'll do it. I was like, okay.
I think we were trying. It was a game of
one.
Who's
chicken. Who's going to say? Who's going to say?
Yeah, no one wanted to be the one that says, I want to go to bed. We were playing chicken.
So then we started talking about, well, let's try Casa. We like Casa. That's the one that we went to. Parents' weekend. And then I think I actually said, or somebody brought up Low Key, and I was like, oh, we haven't been there yet. That's like the
dueling piano bar.
Yeah. Although I don't really know why this one is not dueling. It's just a piano bar where they play the songs that you request. But, and so we were like, okay, let's go to Low Key. So I said, well, we'll just head it. So we just headed over that direction, and then, we saw the line to Casa because we walked by. No way. It would have been probably over an hour wait. And no.
That's a game of chicken that you and I both said no.
No, and the kids even, they were like, no. Yeah. So we walked down to Low Key, and of course Tanner knows one of the bouncers there, so we met him. He was super sweet, fraternity brother. So then we went into Low Key, super fun. Us all singing. That's my voice is like still raspy from yelling, singing. That's where we are. Like,
it's the Subterranean Club, which that already kind of makes it feel kind of cool. The lighting, the stairs. They had the drum kit. There was, I think, a guy playing bass. If not, it was guitar. The 2 pianos. High energy place.
Mm-hmm.
People are singing the songs that all of us know, and that's obviously the point of it. Getting a bunch of bar folks singing at the top of their lungs was an absolute blast.
Well, and what was fun is that there were all different ages there. So the genres of music were all over, but it just, again, we talked about this before, how our kids know, the Belle Biv DeVoe Poison came on. Tanner was singing every word, I mean, it was, just all kinds of
fun. Is the song that we are young came on, and I was singing We Are Old. to that one because I was starting to feel it at a certain point. It was, and so we're cruising right around approaching midnight again to our bodies, 1 in the morning.
We all minus you ordered. There they have the fishbowl. So now I've had the bucket at Casa and I've had the fishbowl. And most people know what a fishbowl is if you went to college bars ever. But so
easy to visualize.
Yeah. So,
fishbowl, ice, booze, mixer.
So, to which I guess the kids finished theirs. I didn't finish mine. But so then we look over. It's like at this point it's after midnight. And I see Tanner ripping the bands to give to the 4 that were there. And so Rick and I were like, okay, yeah, we're out. Y'all go have fun at Bang Bang. And
I think they were, and this is, you and I were talking about this. I think they too were all right, we've enjoyed partying with the parents. It's time now to just be college kids again. And they never make us feel that way, but it was sort of, all right, there's a natural break here. And so they put the wristbands on, and we didn't get, we said bye to them. We didn't get back to the hotel until just shy of 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was one of those where we checked into the lobby and all the lights were off. Yeah. There was nobody there.
You had to use the key card to get into the lobby door. Yeah.
That, and again, that's 2 o'clock to our bodies. So there you go. The Dens went clubbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We're too old for this.
It was 4 stops. So, yeah.
After a day that we'd flown, and I know we didn't take a crack of dawn flight, so thank goodness. It just felt weird to think that our day started in Frisco, and here we are.
Yeah, and
partying in Tempe.
When we're only, because now that we kind of split our weekends with Tegan and Tanner, we were there for one night, so we're like, all right, bang it all out in one night, and we did. Yeah, we did.
It was fun.
It was fun. So we, partied it up with Tanner and his crew. And the other thing is we know that going to visit Tegan is a completely different experience. Right. We knew we would not be going out to those kind of places after we do dinner. So we knew that we could do one night of that and not have it again the next night. So we got up the next day and had to drop something. Oh, we went and walked at Papago Park. Yeah, we like Papago Park, and had to take something to Tanner that had gotten left in our car because they obviously Ubered home. And then got on the road to
the reverse of what we're doing now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which thankfully the 10 drive, it's easy as long as there's not traffic. It gets a little boring, but it's short. Thankfully,
well, and it is
an hour and a half.
It is just so nice,
I wish y'all could see what we see
for this year that we have been able to do this, and they are so close because we don't know what next year is going to look like.
Think if Tegan had ended up in Colorado. That's close, but that's not the same as going and partying with Tanner and then driving down to see Tegan the next day.
You couldn't combine into a weekend. It'd have to be an extended weekend, or we would be going to 2 different places 2 weekends a month. So, so we went and got her, and
what did we do first?
We went to Bison Witches. I was starving.
That's right. So we did do lunch. I was thinking grocery, but nope, we did. You're right.
Lunch,
Bison Witches is such a good place.
Mm-hmm. So we went and ate and caught up with her,
and yes, did go do some shopping. It wasn't full on grocery shopping.
No,
but
she just needed a couple things.
And then it was off to the gym festival.
Yeah.
Or so we
tried.
Thought. So the gym festival, because this is not a gym podcast, apparently it's this big stinking deal. We didn't realize, though, that it's across 40 different locations across the city, and not all of them are available to the public. And the one that we chose to go to was one of those that's not available to the public. So imagine kind of the stereotypical event conference style with everybody in their business blazers, button down and pants.
Well,
wearing their badges. So
it was at the Tucson Convention
Center.
So.
Yeah. And we could see it. You saw like the floor and all the booths set up for the different jewelers and stone and wholesalers and all that. We definitely were fish out of water, though. And there were a lot of views askance at looking at us, wondering why we were there. We walked right through somebody's talk and interrupted their talk. So, but we technically have been to the gym festival, so at least we can check that.
We have a picture, but yeah, it was. I mean, again,
it is amazing to see the scale.
It's just the social media and the event planning, marketing needs to update or not update, but make it a little more user friendly, because we couldn't figure out which one. It tells you
it
which ones are. It was
for
just
sure.
confusing. So so we just walked through there and cruised through there, and it would be interesting to see. And I told him, I said, well, we have 3 more years to, our Linda's husband Jerry, who we've mentioned many times, he is a huge, has all kinds of
geology. I don't know how to categorize it, but stones
and
gems,
and
a really significant and impressive collection.
Yeah, and we sent our picture at the gym festival to him because we knew, and he would like to come see it one day. Yeah. So hopefully next year maybe we can figure it out, because it would be interesting to just walk through the stuff that we're allowed to walk through.
Or just continue to bust in. Of all the things that I've gate crashed, that's probably the least cool to gate crash, is the gym festival. But, we gym crashed.
And I loved when we came out, Tegan was like, well, that's typical for us. And it is. Every time we're with her somewhere, we stumble into some weird, where we're not supposed to be. And she's like, I like that we just walked through and laughed the whole time because we weren't supposed to be in there. So,
we were close to downtown. It's kind of, it was close enough to downtown. We're just going to walk over there because there's a lot of restaurants and things to do. Well, we went and sat. We were going to take the train there instead of walking. And the train didn't show up, but it was kind of an interesting experience that we're presuming she was homeless. I could be wrong, but just started talking to us, and was one of the most friendly conversations. Got into a conversation about drumming. She had some bowl that she was drumming on, but her drums were in storage. And Tegan later said, actually, kind of like the rhythm that she was putting on the salad.
And Tegan is so... She may not be comfortable talking to adults or peers that are in her realm sometimes until she warms up to them. But I mean, man, she started, the lady asked one question and Tegan was having a full-blown conversation with her. And I think that just shows Tegan just has a heart for that kind of, interaction. But she's also aware. She said, I knew she wasn't threatening. She said, now I would not put myself in a place, but she's just compassionate.
And she has this sort of entry into, she starts everything in a judgments-free zone.
Yes.
Whereas I think even I felt somewhat guarded. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know, this woman clearly isn't part of the festival. I think, let's put it on guard. No, Tegan entered it in a judgment-free. And I think even in that interaction, I learned a little bit about myself that I could probably do better at, and I was impressed with what I learned about my daughter in her judgment-free element.
Yeah. So we just left there and walked through downtown and just decided to go get ice cream
because
instead.
That's what you do. We can't go see the gym festival. Yeah. Let's eat ice cream.
Yeah. So we did that, and then
chilled out, watched Duke lose. We're not going to talk about that. Duke had a really bad Duke Carolina game.
Tegan just came back to the hotel with us because she just doesn't like being in her room very much these days. So she just came back with us, and we didn't really have a lot of time before we had to go and start picking up the round 2 children for dinner.
And picking up and then the dropping off. There's a lot of driving. I'm glad when they're all going to be together next year.
Yeah.
We ended up at Amelia's Mexican
kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This was the second location that they have. Fantastic.
Yeah,
we're really starting to get to enjoy the Sonoran style, very chimichanga, burrito, carne asada. You can see, maybe I'm enjoying some of the meals still.
That's
that was breakfast. We've talked. The food is great, and what really impressed us, or what was just enjoyable, is it was Tegan and 5 of her friends. There's just so much kindness in this group. No, forget kind for a second. That was what you had brought in, and you're right. They're so well-mannered, so friendly, so enjoyable. You hear so much about the sullenness, phone-addicted, young generation, blah, blah. Well, some of that may be true, but it's also garbage in a lot of cases. These kids were incredibly engaging, incredibly polite, very willing to talk to us or talk to their friends. It just was a dinner party of 8.
I think it goes to show you that like-minded people navigate towards like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, as we've said, Tegan likes a small group, but she gets very tight with the ones, and she's very loyal, and she has found, and they've had to cut out, not in that sense, but there's a couple that, they don't hang out with anymore because they didn't like the way that they treated people and treated each other and that kind of thing. So I think it just shows you that, yes, like-minded, but yeah, they're all just so sweet and chatty and, yes, very well-mannered. And Tanner's groups that he has are the same at ASU. We've been very pleased with the groups that they have both fallen into. So,
yeah, it's one of those, because your kids could go off to school and you could worry about the influences that they fall into, whatever that is, social style, even chemicals or alcohol or those kind of things. We've been very lucky as parents to have kids that chose friend groups that we would have chosen for them. We are on board with who they've met. Not that, for the record, not that we have any influence in it.
No,
we're just very happy that it ended up the way it did.
Yes. And so yeah, that was fun. And I, again, like we've said, and Reese, one of one of Tegan's friends, he and I were talking, about how we just haven't had a bad meal since we've been here. And he said, I really enjoy all the food in Tucson. And we really haven't, we have not yet to this date had a bad meal there or in Phoenix. But Tucson is a smaller city, so not as much selection, but everything has been so good. And the places Tegan has been going every Friday for lunch out with one of her friends, and she said some of the places they have found have been so good, and so she wants to introduce us to those. And
fine by me.
Yeah, well, we told her, next year, if Tanner doesn't end up staying in Arizona for law school, the weekend will be, all hers, so we can go and try some of the places and do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
I comically was putting some pressure on her. I said, you realize you've got to entertain us for 2 days. When
but she said, fine by me. That means more meals for me. So, it was fun, and it was good.
And what time did we, now, we got back to the hotel later than you might think, but that's because we had an hour of dropping people off across all different points in Tucson.
Well, and again, our reservation started at 7 and with 8 people and at this restaurant, and I appreciated this. The waitress, super friendly, again, as always. We always just have good service out here. She told us when we ordered, she said, now we make everything fresh in-house, so it may take a little long. Is that okay? And we were like, oh yeah. And it did. It took a while to get our food, but it was well worth it. And so we didn't leave. We shut, the restaurant closed at 9, and I think we were walking out at 9. And so so we took Reese and we took Alex home and then dropped Tegan off. And we were in bed by 10:15. It was so nice.
That's where I was going to. 10:15 lights out.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Different between night 1 and night 2 for sure.
But I took the picture of Tegan and her friends, and I might ask her to ask permission if I can put it up, because they're just when I looked at her face, she's so happy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow. I was not expecting tears on this one.
Well, it just makes me so happy, because this has been, if she would not have met this group at the very beginning of school, which she put herself out there, and she, basically
very out of her comfort zone,
and found this group of people that had a common interest, which they don't even do anymore, which is, shows you that they really did click as a friend group, not just based on
an activity
the gaming
linkage.
stuff that they were into. If she would not have found this group, she probably would have come home in semester. So, but not because of the class that she loves her classes,
just the roommate
situation. So
this group has surrounded her, protected her, given her an escape place when she's needed an escape place.
Yes.
This is, you're right about the beaming smile on her face. It's a sincere beaming smile.
And you can just tell they all just generally really like and appreciate each other. And, I told them all last night because she had gotten up to go to the restroom, and I just told them how much I appreciated it, and they were all just like, "Oh my gosh, we love Tegan. She's awesome." But it is just so heartwarming to see kids that are like your kid, that are just kind and want to be there for each other and will be there for each other. Nice. Like I even heard her and Alex, she said, "Okay, well, I see you before Wednesday," because he lives off campus, and he was like, "Well, I can be here on Monday. You want me to be here on campus on Monday?" They're just so generally want to be around each other and help each other and have fun. So it was just a nice,
it really was,
ending, and
which is a great, here we are driving. We got up, we had breakfast with Tegan, and that, another great diner, great place. I think I would rather end it though on that, just kind of the feelings. This drive back is one that, tears have shown up, but they're tears of happiness, tears of joy, tears of the thankfulness, because as an empty nester, you do push your kids out of the nest, but you really want them to thrive, and you don't know as they're falling out of the nest. And here's another example of how she's soaring and the thriving that she's doing, and it's great to see. And
just hearing them already, talking about next year and living together, and they all have their Life 360 groups, so they can see where everyone is, and
they're very old for being young.
Yeah, Tanner has that with his group too. But I told him, though, I said, I want y'all to make a roommate one next year. And she and Alex said, "Oh yeah, we've already started it with their other roommate that's coming from back where we live." And so I said, yeah, because that's also a safety thing. If you know that someone is not at home, then you can see where they're at. And, it's just so, it just warmed my heart. And I am so thankful that we can go and take her friends out to just show them appreciation. A lot of
Clancy brought them. You brought them Valentine's.
Oh yeah, I brought them each a little Valentine thing, and Tegan was like, "Oh, that's so nice, Mom, because none of us right now have boyfriends or girlfriends." So, okay.
Well, it is good,
right?
Good. And here we are. Well, waiting for delayed flight. We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But this is a good good road trip. I'm glad we had this chance to kind of recap it. It feels good. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, we won't be back out here though till Easter, because she's coming home for spring break, and then we're headed on a trip. So, yeah.
All right. Well, another on the road version.
Sorry, my voice is so going because of Friday night.
We won't talk the rest of the trip.
I know, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on another episode of The Loud Quiet, Living the Empty Nest.